Welcome to Talking with the Experts. Here we discuss all things business, by business owners, for business owners. Here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Today, my guest, Mandy Keene, is going to share with you the number one mistake leaders make when managing different personality types. Hello, welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson, from rosedavidson.com.au. Mandy Keene is a globally respected master coach and the author of Understanding Personality. It's a groundbreaking book that helps readers decode human behavior and build powerful, heart-led relationships in both business and life. She partnered with her best friend, Russell Brunson, to co-create the world's leading software that integrates the top personality assessment into one powerful platform. With more than 25 years of experience and over 40,000 hours of one-to-one coaching, Mandy has helped high-level entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and world-class teams elevate their emotional intelligence, communication, and leadership. Mandy is known for blending deep psychology with spiritual truth and grounded practicality. Whether decoding personality types or guiding clients towards heart-led leadership, her work is both transformational and actionable. Mandy, welcome to Talking with the Experts. It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you, Rose. And I got to say, my bio sounds 10 times better with that beautiful accent. So I could just hear that. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much. What led you to do and write your book, Understanding Personality?
Uh, it, pain, witnessing so many of my beautiful clients uh, experiencing what I'd like to say is unnecessary suffering. You know, Buddha said, pain's inevitable, suffering is optional. And, there's inevitable things as humans that we need to go through that we can't avoid. But I found that when it comes to people and hiring, you know, there are so many things that we can do to prevent unnecessary suffering, and that is knowing ourselves and knowing who we need for what position. I like to use the metaphor of like creating like a rock band. You know, if you're the lead singer, you know, you need a keyboardist, you know, you need someone on the drums, you need, you know, someone at like they know who they need, right, to put the band together. And when you're starting a company or a business, it's the same thing. Every company needs certain people and certain team members. And it's been fascinating witnessing the growth of when entrepreneurs become, oh, okay, now I know why that didn't work or why hiring that person, you know, wasn't a match. And it's not just their fault. If it's okay with you, Rose, I like to throw rocks at our education system. We weren't set up, right? We weren't set up to know who we are. I mean, that's why I got into coaching at such a young age. I didn't know, Rose, that Mandy should never do admin. You don't want Mandy doing any admin support or any tech or any of that. Like, I didn't know that. And when I did admin, I thought, am I dumb? Like, I started wondering because I was so bad at it. And thank Goddess, I got exposed to personality assessments because that's when I found out, oh, phew, that's just not where I'm supposed to be. It's like a penguin's not supposed to be in the desert. It's not necessarily that I truly believe that we're all geniuses. We all have a genius within us. It's about tapping into it. And that's why I love using assessments as one tool of many to empower entrepreneurs, make the journey more enjoyable.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes, and I've done these personality assessments from time to
Have you?
time.
I was curious if you felt comfortable sharing some results. You don't have to, but we could have
Oh,
some fun.
yeah, I can't remember what they said. I've taken them like some time ago, but, you know, they're pretty spot on most of the time. But I do worry that when you do these assessments, it is depends on, you know, the mood that you're in, the time of day that it might be, the day of the week, you know, all these little things that could change the outcome. Is that possible?
So, such a beautiful question. I do believe that there is a core, and not all assessments are created equal. That's why I do love what we're doing, if I may plug
Yeah, of course you
understanding
can.
person yeah, if I may plug understandingpersonality.com. Why I love what we're doing is we've combined the top six assessments in one place. And I have to give credit to Russell, is Russell had a vision of creating like a Facebook meets personality assessments in one, where people could see the results in one place. And we selected the assessments that have been vetted. That, is there always room for error? Absolutely. Like, for example, I love Myers-Briggs. It's Myers-Briggs is one that, I love the story. It's a mother-daughter story, and they wanted to help people during one of the darkest times on planet Earth. And it's such a beautiful story. And you go back, and there's so much validity to it when you break it down. Now, what I love about Myers-Briggs is, like, there's people that tell me, Mandy, I took it, and one day I was an ISFJ, and the next day I was an INFJ, and I don't know what is it. And it's because they're right in the middle line. They might be a 52% and then they toggle to maybe a 49%. And that's all that means. And I could work with someone, or one of our coaches can work with someone, help them understand that. Now, someone who's really extreme, they're never gonna, like, I have many clients where if they're a thinker or feeler, if let's say they're an 89% thinker, they're gonna likely always be a thinker. They're probably not going to ever go to be a feeler no matter what, right? Doesn't mean they don't have feelings. It's just that that's the way they communicate and that's the way they operate. And so I found that absolutely, depending on the day, depending on what someone's going through, a significant emotional event could change the way someone takes an assessment. And that's why I believe in, uh, I like to say, Rose, don't raw dog it. Like, don't just take assessments and then that's it. Like, work with, I'm a huge fan, obviously, being a coach, of working with a coach or a therapist or a healer or someone who's an expert to help you integrate it. Because just taking them just to take them, it's probably not going to really change your life. It's like taking one of those quizzes in a magazine, like, oh, well, that's interesting, blah, 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 and then you forget it, right? But if you're working with an expert to help you actually integrate it, that's when the magic happens.
Mm. Yeah, and you get, and these personality assessments, they help people get the best out of themselves. I find, if you know what to look for, and you're right, you probably need a coach or a mentor to help you to do all of that things. But I just wanted to touch on that people tend to like people that are like themselves. But when you're in business, that is not a way to do things, is it? You need to hire team members who are different from you.
Yes, yes. I actually have a funny story about Russell on that, because you're so right on, Rose. You're so right that people like to hire people like themselves. In fact, when I first got exposed to assessments back when I was working for Tony Robbins, um, he found out that he did a whole mind map of everybody in Anthony Robbins companies. And it was all these high dominant, high influencing people. And there was no one like doing the systems and the dotting the T's, dotting the I's, excuse me, crossing the T's. They're like, oh, no wonder there's so much chaos, right? And so it was so eye-opening that it was like a lot of mini Tonys. So you're absolutely right. And funny story, Russell he wanted to hire another funnel builder that was just for him. And he was like, Mandy, I want your help in using DISC. And he sent me the, requirements. He sent me like what this person's going to be doing, and they're going to be, building funnels and the details and the depth of work that they're going to have to do. And I knew, and I was like, oh, I know exactly the type of personality that Russell was going to need. And so he emailed me and he was like so excited. He was like, "What do you think of these people, Mandy? I really like them." Like exclamation point, right? And I looked at their profile and I was like, okay, you might like these people, but they're not I give them 90, I give this one 90 days. I give this one maybe 3 days. Like they're not. I go, "Russell, the reason why you like them is because they're just like you." I go, and he made it in the application process, he had them send in videos. And I said, the person that's perfect for this would die to send in a video. They would never want to send in a video. You need to take that out of the application process. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that would be a deal breaker. That's their personality would be so uncomfortable and they'd be so painfully awkward on video." Um, and he's like, "Oh man," I could tell like he was attached, right? Like to the so he trusted me and he did it over again. He was like, "Okay, what do you think of these?" And I was like, "This one's great. This one's perfect." And he hired him, and his name's Nick Sanders, and he still works for him today, and he's perfect for it. So it's like, yes. And if you think past your personality and you think more about who's better for the role versus who you just want to mirror you.
Yeah, and mirroring can be helpful. However, um, as what you've pointed out, it's better to have people in the organization that are different from you. They bring a different perspective to the whole organization and to the role itself. And I used to work in temporary roles for a number of years, and sometimes the processes that this company had were like convoluted, and I got to, I could cut it down by 3 steps at least. And I'd go to the manager and say, well, what if we take out these steps and, make the job a lot quicker, but you won't lose efficiency? Well, did I get into so much trouble for, how dare you tell me how to run my business? We've been doing it like this for 1,000 years, or not 1,000, but and
Yes.
forever since we opened, and why should we change it just because you find it difficult? And so, obviously I didn't stay in their role very long because they couldn't see the wood for the trees. But my point being is that you need that input from others that sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. You can't see beyond the things that you had in place for such a long time, and there may be different ways of doing things, and different personalities, even though there might be trials within the organization because of that. You need to find ways to work around it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I'm such a big fan of know thyself so that you can understand what are your blind spots, what are your superpowers, what's the best use of your time and energy, and what are your blind spots? Because the truth is, you are giving them a gift. Like the industry that I'm in, Rose, like you are giving them what so many entrepreneurs pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to go to, like these masterminds and these boot camps, and paying these high end like speakers, coaches to help become more efficient. And you were just giving it to them on a silver platter. But because they weren't, oh, the ego can get in the way. And that's why I find the more that we really know this avatar that we're playing, the less we take it so seriously.
Yeah, yeah, I do believe that. Now, what, Mandy, is the number one mistake that we're all making when managing these different personality types?
Oh, man, the number one mistake. I would say the number one mistake is our culture is moving so quickly that the number one mistake that we make is we're not slowing down enough to really get to know each other. And so it's like we're moving so fast, and it's like we gotta get this out, and this it's this hurried, rushed culture that it's like you think about what it takes to make a gourmet meal. I haven't been to a lot. I primarily eat at home because I have such a special diet, but I've been to some like gourmet restaurants and it takes a while to get your food, right? It's a process. And I would say that the mistake is not seeing the value in slowing down and really paying attention and noticing what's going on with each other and remembering that we're humans,
Mm,
really, and that we're here to connect. And everything's just so like rush, 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 speed, 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 efficiency, efficiency, money, money, money. And that's not necessarily bad. I, the people that I have found, Rose, who I personally have so much reverence for, who are financially doing really, really well. Like they're swoosh, they're doing really well. At the same time, they know what's going on with their spouse. They have a good relationship with their children. Their health is like they're not a perfect, but their health is good. Like the one thing they have that I find that they have that other people where they're very out of balance or very stressed and they kind of have more of like a chaotic life is they move slower. They
mm,
just do. They move, they pause and they look in the eyes of the people on their team and their family and they check in and and they make people matter more than tasks and results and money and all of that. And so it's like all of that does matter. And I know that we got to keep the lights on and pay the bills. But I would say the number one mistake is forgetting that, oh, yeah, we're human. We need to take care of the humans.
yes. I think people that are in the front of their game are more intentional with how they treat people and how they know themselves, fairly well. I mean, you don't, 100% know yourself because there's, things that change at the drop of a hat, whether it be a death in the family or some other reason. And, sometimes you find out your personality is not what you thought it was in the first place. But being intentional with the people around you, with your family, with your team members, I think is really important. And, taking into account the different personality types that there are and involving those people at their level rather than making them come up to yours is got to be 100% positive.
Oh, yes, it's well, and I find it to be uh for me, the more that I have discovered and realized things about myself and who I am, I don't carry the heaviness of the shame that I used to have. And that's my favorite thing about this conversation is it relieves shame. I am a fan of Brene Brown, and she says that shame needs three things to live: secrecy, silence, and judgment. And and to relieve it, you need to have a safe place to be able to talk about it. And I find I don't even have to know someone's story. I don't even have to know all of it, but I can look at someone's personality results and I already know what they have shame about. I already know the buttons that they're avoiding that don't want to be pushed. And when we become aware of, oh, okay, this is my fear, this is my shame, it becomes so beautiful because now it's like not controlling. It's not something like for myself, I have the personality. It's why I got into coaching. A lot of people with my personality get into the field of coaching of, I loved your interview with was it Chris Marr?
Yeah, he was
Where
brilliant. Yeah, I loved it.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Listening to your Australian accent with his Scottish accent, that was like auditory ice cream. So that was a great episode. Highly recommend it. Um, I love what he talked about with people pleasing. So I have a personality type that is definitely more on the people pleasing spectrum, Enneagram 9, which is more the people pleaser on the disc, more the high I, the influencer. Um, and so for me, becoming aware of that, it's like, oh, no wonder it's been harder for me to say no. No wonder, I have high empathy with my strengths. Like, no wonder I'm good at my job, but also no wonder I have a harder time, being able to say no and having those boundaries. And so I was able to have compassion for Mandy, right? And then I look at some of my clients, like most of my clients are very different personality types than myself. And Rose, I used to beat myself up. I was like, what? How can I be their coach? And they're out making millions. And what I make is what they write off in their taxes. Like, wait a minute. And, we've heard of the term like imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome is a fancy way of saying I am afraid of who I am. Like there's shame. And when I realized, oh, if I was like them, I would be them. I
That's
wouldn't be in my position, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm actually right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing what I'm good at. And the shame evaporated because I understood my role and my strengths, and I understood why they are good at what they're doing and why they struggle at things that's really easy for me, but it's so hard for them. And why they do things that's super easy for them that I'm like, I don't know how you do it, right? And so that's where it becomes beautiful. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, I totally 100% agree with that. I think, it's horses for courses, and you are the way you are through life experience or, growing up, or, friends, family, whatever the case may be, you have those certain traits that are stuck with you from birth, basically. And, others you grow along the way, but, you are who you are, and you can only change that, I suppose, through great effort. And I think, if we can just all accept each other for the way we are, the world would be a much kinder place.
Yes. Well, that's the goal, Rose. I think you and I are doing it. You're doing it with your podcast. You're doing it with this conversation. I don't have them with me right now, but sometimes I use animals when I'm coaching and I put them on the Zoom. Like, I love using animals because it's such a great metaphor of taking out the ego. Because it's like some people are more of like a lion, some people are a golden retriever, some people are a giraffe, and it's like, is the giraffe better than the lion, or the lion better than the giraffe, or are they just different? It's like once we realize, oh, that's who I am, and that's beautiful. Instead of being distracted with trying to be someone that we clearly are not, and embracing the avatar that you are is so deliciously powerful, and life becomes a lot more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to find out more about Mandy and enjoy her beautiful stories, you can go and find her on Facebook at Mandy Jo Keene. And she's on Instagram as Mandy J Keene, and her website is understandingpersonality.com. Mandy, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing with us today about how we can, make the most of personalities and personality types, and what makes us so special as humans.
Thank you, Rose. It's been a delight to be on your show. I'm so honored. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Take care.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time.